welcome, plant-powered community, health enthusiasts. And this is a special interview series promoting the amazing presenters and speakers that are going to be at the Georgia VegFest this year. August 2nd and 3rd at the Cobb County Civic Center in Marietta, we're going to have 2 full days of food, and all things vegan and information, educational information that will help people to um, take a stronger walk on their plant-powered journey into what we hope will be 100% plant-powered and on the vegan track. And one of the things that I've been becoming more aware of is the reframing of the word and the concept of vegan. And I'll get into that. But right now, I don't want to take a moment away from our incredible guest, Dr. Patrice High. And our goal here is to give you a sneak peek into who these speakers are, the passion behind their journeys, and the profound impact of the work that they do to help heal people, spread compassion, and save our planet. So get ready for another inspiring interview, and let's dive in. Dr. Patrice, hi, and welcome.
Thank you, Vlyn. It's so good to be with you this morning.
Well, in the guise of really helping people to understand what it is that you're going to be bringing to the Georgia Veg Fest, I know that you are a board certified family and lifestyle medicine physician with over 2 decades of experience. And what I want to know is what initially drew you to specializing and basically hanging your own shingle, leaving the healthcare system and coming into your own practice to specialize in preventing and reversing chronic illnesses for women, for people with diabetes, for everyone, especially through lifestyle changes. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so um, thank you. That's a great question. I've had to think a lot about this question because people think I've lost my mind leaving conventional medicine. But quite honestly, it came from that 2 decades of caring for people and watching my patients become sicker and sicker, younger and younger, despite the best medicine I knew how to use. And I have no problem with pharma. It is what it is, but we can do so much more for ourselves in order to help that process if we need to be on medication. And so when my first baby, my only baby, was born, he came with a 30-pound price tag that I did not need. I had been overweight or obese most of my life. And the day that he was at the top of the stairs, screaming a scream that I had never heard before, and I went tearing up the stairs, I was so short of breath from my weight gain that I had to stop at the top of the stairs. And in that moment, I thought, gosh, am I going to live long enough to raise this baby? What kind of doctor am I that I'm encouraging other people to engage in their wellness, but I wasn't doing that for myself? And most importantly, how was I going to help all of us? And so I took my maternity leave and I did what most type A people do. I started doing some research and trying to understand why I didn't have all the tools that I needed to care for myself and to care for others. And I came across the American College of Lifestyle Medicine website, and there was this plethora of studies just showing how they were reversing diabetes. And I had been taught that diabetes was a lifelong thing 20 some years ago. And then you go to work and you sort of just do all the things with your blinders on, and you don't necessarily look out in the real world. And so I was riveted by all of the studies and all of the information. And I thought, gosh, I've got 90 days to try this on myself. So I used myself as a beta patient. And I started with a whole food plant-based diet. And I started to lose weight. I was losing 2, maybe 3, 4 pounds a week. Super excited about that. But it wasn't just about weight loss for me. it was also about warding off some things in my family. Both of my parents are diabetic. Both of my grandmothers were diabetic. My paternal grandmother passed from end stage renal disease from her diabetes. So for me, it wasn't just about losing weight, it was about warding off my genetics. And that was actually probably more important to me. I didn't want to be short of breath in the stairs, obviously, but that was really the impetus of all of it, was trying to look at the world around me and realize if I want it to look different, I've got to do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so by that 90 days, I had lost some weight and headed back to work. And then all of a sudden, my patients were like, wait a minute, you had a baby and you lost weight. What's happening? And then they were more engaged. And I felt like I was more walking in my purpose. So all of that led to me feeling like I didn't have enough time. Because when you go back to work and you work in the conventional medical model, you've got a 15-minute visit. And it's really not a 15-minute visit, honestly. Your nurse takes up 6 of your minutes, you've got maybe 9. And that only allows you the time to prescribe a medicine, maybe go over their labs, maybe deal with the one thing that they're asking about, or 2, 4 things they're asking about, and then send them out the door. And that was just terribly unfulfilling for me. So that's how New Empowerment Health got born, is me wanting more time with patients to give them the foundation of lifestyle medicine, and for my patients to be able to be seen and heard, and me to have the time to do that.
Well, kudos to you. That is amazing. We wish that all physicians would take that purposeful journey into themselves in order to do medicine better. But the conventional model is what it is.
Yes.
It's not going to, it's
Mm-mm,
honestly not going to change
mm-mm.
without a whole lot more of people, and from the inside, and
Yeah,
from the inside at the top, which we know is not going to happen. It's too much of an economic model that the reason that it is the way that it is because of the economics.
sure.
And so thank you for taking yourself out of a systemic problem and bringing yourself into the solution that those of us in this space know is the real solution to healing people, having more compassion for everything that we do in the world, from people to animals to things to the planet.
Mhm.
And without you and others like you, where would we be? So thank you for that. Now, you mentioned family members and the fact that there are those of us who have been told, if so and so's got diabetes or so and so's got a died of a heart attack, it's going to happen to you, basically, is what they're saying, right?
Yeah, sure.
And what we now know is that genetics plays a role, but lifestyle medicine comes into play and can change everything. Give us a little bit of insight into what that really means.
Yeah. So we all have genes, right? And we all have genes that are turned on and we have genes that are turned off. Or we talk about it from an epigenetic standpoint. Well, I used to believe that I was given bad genes by my family. And what do I mean by that? The majority of the women on my maternal side were diabetic around 40. And that baby I had, I was 35 when that happened. And so I was walking into that process potentially. And I knew that it had to be different. I knew that there had to be something that I could do to mitigate that. And I am now 52 and I am not diabetic. And I know that it was because I took on these principles. Your body knows what to do with real food. Real food does not turn on cancer. Hyper processed food refined sugar, those end up causing our diseases. And we've been um, hoodwinked, so to speak, into believing that convenient foods are convenient for our health, and they are not. And so the way I think about it is we all have a gun, right, so to speak, and that gun has a bullet in it. And that bullet is only propagated through that gun by our decisions, whether they're hyperprocessed foods or not sleeping enough or not managing our stress. Um, all of the lifestyle things that we know to do have never been really explained in the way that propagates health. We talk about weight loss. Yeah, weight loss is important, but more importantly, what's going on in your insides? How are you fueling your body? How are you how are you managing that sleep that we all know that we should get? All of those things are such important factors to help our body do the things that it was inherently meant to do physiologically. And when you start to put those things in place, your body just knows what to do. And it's like putting the right gas in your car. You wouldn't put the wrong gas in your car and then think you could drive to California, right? But we do that with our bodies in every meal, some of us in every meal, or at least two out of the three. And then we don't understand why we're sick or why we're tired or why we don't feel well. And some of us walk around not feeling well and think that that's normal. And that's,
Somebody told us that's the way that it was supposed to
yeah,
be.
as we
And
age, we're just supposed to be tired. And
yeah,
that is not true. That's not true at all. And so for me, it's very important for people to know that it can be simple and practical, and it doesn't have to be these extremes that people engage in. I don't think a whole food plant-based diet is extreme at all. I think it's necessary for life and longevity. Um,
yeah, I agree. I remember reading Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn's quote about extreme, right? A whole food plant-based diet is, do you think that's extreme? How about cracking your chest open,
yes,
getting in there and doing things to your heart and then closing you back up, sewing you up. You don't
mhm,
even know if you're going to survive the operation, much less how much longer after that.
right.
What's extreme here?
Yeah,
Changing the what I eat, the way that I eat, the food that I eat versus something, I'm not going to change what I eat and undergo something as extreme
yeah,
as open heart surgery or, having some of my colon removed or, the cancers that we
mhm,
suffer from, many of which are foodborne.
yes,
And I think that, one of the things for me is the Georgia VegFest is a very important event that occurs. And it's not just about the ooey gooey junky veggie food that you can have as much as it is about, yes, that's a part of it, but learning how to create those foods for yourself, learning
mhm,
how to do it economically, learning what those foods do inside the body. Because generations ago, it was more intuitive, the things that we ate. And we had less problems because people did have the gardens in the backyard and, the community gardens that they didn't even realize were community gardens. The after church, you cooked up the meal, but it was mostly fresh vegetables that came in to
right,
those huge pots. And even in schools, you had most of the time, back in my generation, I remember seeing them with, the big ladles and big, huge pots that they would dish stuff out of. Now, granted, it probably wasn't the most healthy, but it was very close to what nature provides us. And like you said, turning those genes on or off But we don't understand when we don't understand that, we can't use that information.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons we're doing this, having this conversation now, is to invite people to the Georgia Veg Fest where these speakers are available. It's nominal cost to get in. You can even get on a scaling level as far as what you pay to get in. There's some scholarships available, if I'm not mistaken, and be there. Take this information in for yourself, take it in for your family and your friends. And this is about community. Now, the work that you're doing, I know that you are a part of a couple of communities. Tell us a little bit about your experience with the benefits of being a part of a supporting community while you're on your health journey.
Yeah. So we were meant to thrive in community, in all ways. And your health journey is just one or more of those ways. Um, when you're looking at making a significant positive health change, it's really hard to do that alone. People do it, but it's much more challenging. When I, for instance, one of the changes I made after I started my journey was after my weight plateaued a bit, I realized I needed to move next. So I started with a whole food plant-based diet. And then I realized, oh, okay, my weight's, I've kind of got that dialed in. Let me figure out what the next thing is. Well, the next thing for me was figuring out what kind of exercise I was going to do or how I was going to move my body. And I got to thinking about my childhood and how I was a dancer most of my childhood up until my college years. And then I went to work and then you kind of forget who you are. And so I found, and I had always driven past our rec center and said, oh, I'm going to go to that Zumba class someday. I'm going to do that. Well, I finally got to that Zumba class and I had no idea that I was going to enjoy that class as much as I did because I had really forgotten about my dance background. So, what that gave me was a community of women and men, some men, who were all working towards the same goal. We all wanted to either lose weight, improve our cholesterol, improve our blood pressure, some other health challenge. And it was fun. Working in community is not only good for your mind, but it's good for your soul. And I lost even more weight. In fact, it was faster because now I was moving on purpose. But I made beautiful relationships and friendships that I have to this day. And that was my child's 18 now. So that's 18 years of community that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And so it's so much easier to get it done when you're all trying to drop it low and 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 make it fun. This one, we were never meant to be isolated. I mean, that's even biblical, really.
You're right. Yeah.
But yeah, community is super important. And even that was just one community I found. Now in this new space, I'm part of a wellness community and we do home events and we're teaching people how to make salads in a jar and how to make overnight oats and how to do meal prep and those kinds of things. And those moments are just another way to connect. And everybody brings something, so it's very much community based. And those have been fun as well. So I have really enjoyed the community aspect of this wellness journey that I've been on.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I encourage those who are watching to join us at the Georgia Veg Fest to hear more from Dr. Patrice. And as we wrap up this little segment, for the Georgia Veg Fest audience, many of whom are already plant curious or plant-based, um, some that are just starting and are figuring out, let me just take a look. What's a common blind spot or an advanced tip that you might offer for optimizing their diet, specifically for metabolic health and diabetes prevention?
Yeah, I would say just rethink your plate and be open. If all of us could just make half of our plate fruits and vegetables, we'd already be ahead of most other people. And we've been taught that we're protein deficient. And so we've been taught to consume 12 ounces of steak and 2 sprigs of broccoli. But really, when you think back to our ancestors, it was really the other way around. And they were stronger and more resilient than we will ever be because of how they fueled their bodies before they were introduced to animal protein in the ways that we consume it now. And so that was the biggest thing for me, was just recognizing that I could put more fruits and vegetables on my plate, and I didn't think of it as I was having to take something away. I realize it's a journey. Like, some of us are jumping the deep end of the pool, folks, and we're all in. Some of us need to stick our toe in. So if sticking your toe in is just putting more fruits and vegetables, more whole foods on your plate, that gives us room to crowd out the other things, but in a more natural way, not in a negative sort of connotation.
Oh, that's so well said. And I was going to ask you what message you would like to leave with our audience that is a true, inspiring invitation for them to come and join us. And I think you just have. But if there's anything that you'd like to add to that, please do.
Oh, I would say don't be scared to try new things. Don't be scared to try new things. Food is not scary. What we've been taught about food is scary. And so if you've tried everything else, and you're not where you want to be, what would it hurt to try one more thing? And what
Mhm.
benefit might you actually have from trying that one more thing?
Absolutely, especially if it means that you can change what you may have thought was your genetic future
Yeah,
of illness to be something totally different and potentially change generations behind you,
exactly.
other family members, and help those who may be suffering to find a way to start this journey for themselves to health and healing, because it's never too late to start this whole food, plant-based vegan journey to wellness, to longevity, to, eradicating type 2 diabetes. I mean, who would have ever thought? When I first heard of diabetes, it was like, you got it, it's incurable,
Right.
and then it was like lupus, you got it, it's incurable. RA,
Mhm.
um, you know,
Yeah.
all of these things, it's no,
Yeah,
don't believe the hype, right?
exactly. Yeah. 80% of our 80 to 90% of our chronic diseases are lifestyle mediated. So that's a choice. We make a choice with every meal, really.
So join us at the Georgia Veg Fest. Hear more specifically as it relates to diabetes prevention, and get ready to be even more inspired, gain valuable insights, and prepare yourselves for an unforgettable weekend at the Georgia Veg Fest. I'm Velyn Hawkins. I'm here with Dr. Patrice High. Thank you, Dr. High. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're going to look forward to seeing you at the Veg Fest. Bye for now.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.